Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we have the minimal phone. I'm really excited about this device because it's quite unique. You have an e-paper screen and also you have a QWERTY keyboard, a combination that you don't see quite a lot, especially these days. So before we get to the hardware, software, and whether this device is for you, I want to touch on a few concerns that the community has had and whether they have been addressed or not, or whether they're going to be addressed. So the first one is when it comes to certifications. I've been able to use this device on AT&T and T-Mobile very reliably here in the United States, and on Verizon, it hasn't been reliable for me. Some people are reporting that it works, and this is regional, but the reason why is because so far, the FCC certification has not come through. However, I've been able to look at information from them, corroborated, and they are already in process for this certification. Maybe by the time that you watch this video, it has already passed, but if not, it is in process of getting that certification. Another certification that they're working on is the CE certification, which is the European Commission for this kind of stuff, electronics, making sure that it works with your carrier in Europe. They have not started that certification. However, I have also talked with Andre and the team behind the minimal phone, and they are going to start that certification. So if you get this device in Europe and it is not working right away, it is because it's not fully certified in Europe. You probably will still be able to have it and work around it just because that's how GSM carriers work, but there are no promises. However, they're working in the right direction to get this sorted out. The second thing that the community has been asking about is about the Play Store. So this device comes with the Play Store, which makes it more of a smartphone than a dumb phone. However, due to the e-paper screen, I don't think you're going to be scrolling on videos or other high-intensive games. As I'm showcasing to you on the screen, it's not the best experience for that kind of stuff. So you're probably going to use other devices for your entertainment consumption, which is the point of the device. But this device has the Play Store, and a lot of people have been asking, how is it possible that an e-ink device has certification for Play Protect, which is a very valid concern because other e-ink devices have never had this certification. However, again, I've been able to look at the documents myself, and because of the partner, so they're working with a manufacturer, their partner is Google certified, and the device is also on the database for Google certification. I don't know how the partner is achieving this. I don't have some of those inner working, but it is legit and it is Google Play certified for this device. Again, how they're achieving it, I don't know, but the documentation was legit and I was able to confirm it. Now, having said that, let's get to the review of the device and whether it is for you. So let's first get started with the hardware of the device. The hardware of the device is quite nice because it includes a 3.5mm headphone jack. It does also have USB-C, both are greatly appreciated. It has a volume rockers on the side and also a power button. And on top of that, it does have a clear button for the e-ink screen. This means that anytime that you see a few artifacts or, the e-ink screen gets some ghosting, which is natural for the e-ink screen to get, you can clear it with this side button, which is quite nice to have that availability. That is something that comes with the phone. Now, on top of that, the phone is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, so I do recommend if you want for stylish, keep it in a case or get the white version because the black version is quite a fingerprint magnet. On top of that, there are two cameras, one in the front and one in the back, and of course, the row of QWERTY keys. Now, when it comes to the hardware of these QWERTY keys, they're very satisfying to press. They're quite fast when you're texting and typing or getting into notes, whatever it is. Everything works very well with the default keyboard. And right now, they are working on adding more languages. So that is where the software and hardware for the keys comes into play. And as of right now, as of my recording in front of this screen, it still needs a little bit of improvement. And that is because making keyboards that are mapped for the QWERTY keyboard with different languages is hard. Remember, this device has been released in under a year. So about a year ago, we were having some of the debate whether this was real or not. Now it's in my hands. I was able to purchase it and get one of these units. So it is quite interesting that they have been able to do this. And also, you have to be a little bit patient, and we'll get to that in my final recommendation. But when it comes to the hardware and software of the device, everything is pretty well and decently integrated. The screen refresh issue was fixed via software patch. It works like a charm. It is smooth. I recommend you use the ultra mode instead of the slow mode or fast mode. The ultra mode is probably going to be your friend, even though it does consume a little bit more of battery life. So you can kind of alternate back and forth between those. Now, there are a few extra software things that I want to talk about, and that is the availability of apps. This phone runs pretty much any app that you throw at it, is quite smooth when it comes to Spotify, launchers, WhatsApp, whatever it is, media and communication-wise, beeper, email, anything that is communication related or productivity related, this phone has no problem running. However, when you get to a little bit more of graphic intensive applications, let it be maybe a little bit of a game or something like YouTube, the performance is just not there because this is not an LCD screen. You are not probably going to be tempted to be watching YouTube, TikTok, Instagram on these devices. However, you can have those apps for communication purposes, maybe a DM, or trying to get extra information, or even if it's just a link, you'll be able to view it on the phone, but it's not the best appreciation for entertainment, so I don't recommend it for those purposes. The phone does get a little bit warm to the touch when you are in more graphically intensive applications, and I believe the reason is because it wasn't made for those purposes, and some of the specs are also more on the mid-range area rather than a super flagship that is able to run these applications super fast. There are some extra niceties included with the phone, mainly Google Wallet and also Android Auto. So if you like those conveniences like tap to pay or getting in your car, and if it's Android Auto enabled, you're going to be able to enjoy some of that with this phone. So far, I have liked the phone and I have liked the performance of it. Since the update, there are no issues noticeable to me that will say, hey, stay away from this phone. However, I want to offer a word of encouragement and caution to keep track with the updates from the company. Day one, this phone is quite usable, very good. I personally will give it a 7.5 and 8 out of 10, which is a great rating. Honestly, for under a year of development, they have gotten quite far. But there are some extra little tweaks, specifically for people in Europe, getting the certifications all in order, getting a few of the extra things like the keyboard languages or the layout or the minimal launcher. There are some extra optimizations that will put it in the 8.5, 9 category, which are probably going to come across time. And that is the question that I'm going to pose to you, whether this device is for you or not. If you're looking for a device that is simple, that is minimal, that it doesn't have a lot of applications, nor the ability to install anything like that, this device is not it. You're looking more for a basic flip phone, or the Light Phone 2 or 3, or the Nudita Compact. Those devices are made with that complete intentionality to be no distractions, no extra applications. You are on your own. But if you want a device that retains the convenience, has a QWERTY keyboard, e-paper screen, adds friction into the smartphone experience, and is mostly utilized for productivity and communication, I think this device has the big potential of being that specific device that you're looking for. The only thing that remains to be seen is how long is the company going to continue upgrading and optimizing the experience. I expect them to continue doing a good job, but they need to do better when it comes to communication, when it comes to being clear, and in my personal taste, to under-promise and over-deliver. I think that's what has gotten this device into all the miscommunication and name-calling and all of that from the community, is that they have over-promised and under-delivered. So in my personal opinion, they need to take that more measured approach and say, hey, we deliver something cool. This has a lot of potential. Trust us as we develop more updates, as we bring better optimization for this device. But the minimal phone, as you've been able to see in the FAQ, And for the battery life test that I did and everything around, it's an excellent performer. We're talking about a device that is 3 to 4 days of consistent battery life with moderate use, and definitely 1 to 2 days with heavy usage. You can extend it even further if you do extra customizations, like putting it on slow mode and not using it for extended periods of time. The device has a lot of promise, but it needs a lot of optimization and upgrades, and that is what you need to ask yourself. Do I trust this company? Do I see the track record? Are they delivering? If they are, as the time progresses, I will continue to make updates and continue to recommend them. If they don't, you can expect the same. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions about this device or any of the other devices that I have reviewed, make sure to put it in the comments below. I'll be interacting with you guys. I'm excited about the possibility of this device and everything that it entails. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.